Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, we are going to be looking at 3 disturbances in the Atlantic, which all have a possibility at becoming our next named storm in the next several days. Now, as you're looking at right now, the 7-day graphical tropical weather look, we have 2 disturbances in the Eastern Atlantic, one in the Gulf of Mexico. 2 of these in the Eastern Atlantic both have around a 40 to 50% chance of development in the next 7 days. You also have disturbance 3 in the Gulf of Mexico, which has a 20% chance of a cyclone formation in 7 days. Now for disturbance 1, this is the lowest of the few, and this has a 50% chance of a cyclone formation in 7 days. Disorganized showers and thunderstorms located over the central tropical Atlantic are located with an elongated trough of low pressure centered about 750 miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression could form during the next several days while moving toward the west or northwest at about 10 miles per hour across the central tropical Atlantic. The other one just to the east of the middle disturbance here in the Atlantic says that further development of this system is possible and a tropical depression could form over the weekend. So again, 2 tropical depression possibilities, which eventually lead to a named tropical storm. As long as there's not a lot of wind shear around these areas, these will definitely form into our next named storm of the Atlantic season. Looking at the latest GFS model, this is the 12Z run from this morning. You can see there is disturbance 1. This is not yet an invest, and the other disturbance is just over there. The strongest of the 3 right now is that main low pressure system. Nothing much in the Gulf of Mexico as of right now. As we move forward without time, you can see that secondary low pressure system moving that just forms to the east of disturbance 1. And there's those 2 disturbances by the morning of Friday really sticking out in the Atlantic, both of them just sitting right next to each other. These will be moving westward and a little bit northwestward as these systems go throughout those warm waters of the Atlantic. This one reaches some cooler waters, maybe some wind shear just to the north, and that's what's going to weekend it off. It's not really going to have that much of a lifetime. But this one disturbance is the most interesting of the 3, as this is expected to strengthen into a tropical depression, maybe even a tropical storm by this weekend. As you can see, it's going to be Saturday, and that's a tropical storm strength at around 995 millibars. This could even have the possibility of reaching a Category 1 hurricane later into next week. But of course, the GFS model, and the GFS model typically has a lot of fantasy storms, but we have that disturbance here, and some of this wind shear is definitely clearing out throughout the middle of this month, so this could definitely have a shot at producing a tropical storm, even a Category 1 hurricane throughout the Atlantic. Of course, this is not expected to head towards the Caribbean or even towards the United States, but potentially our next named storm will be from disturbance 1 in the Atlantic. If we look at the Euro model here, this is a little more reasonable model, but kind of underdoes things as well. But definitely is a little more of a reliable model than the GFS model. There's the disturbance 1 here. This is going to be Friday afternoon. There's the other disturbance, which is not really expected to develop into anything. Mainly just kind of stays a tropical disturbance and move off to the northwest. While disturbance 1 is looking a lot more likely to form into a tropical depression or even tropical storm. You can see that this strengthens into a tropical depression this weekend by the Euro model. Moves westward like it's threatening the Australian Antilles, but it looks like it's going to be moving northward into some possible wind shear that's hanging out here just to the northeast of Puerto Rico. But there is a little spot here which is right now is clear, but of course wind shear moves as these storms move. So it really depends on where the wind shear is going to be, how strong the wind shear is. This is definitely the best opportunity I've seen really in the past month or so of seeing our next tropical storm. And looking at current wind shear values, there is tropical disturbance 2 and tropical disturbance 1 is somewhere along the lines of here. As you can see, we have a good pocket of wind shear right here that is just hanging out northeast of Puerto Rico. We have another one southwest of Puerto Rico, and one little pocket here that is hanging out over the Bahamas. and Cuba. So again, not a lot of wind shear, and there's definitely a lot of pockets here, very low or no wind shear, and especially with these warms of this warm waters. These storms can definitely develop very quickly as long as it's in a good pocket of little to no wind shear. And look at this, we have Tropical Storm Hillary, which is expected to become a hurricane by 1 p.m. Thursday, so tomorrow, and this is even expected to make it to a major hurricane as it heads toward Baja California as a hurricane by 1 p.m. Sunday. So not a major hurricane as it reaches Baja California. Some of these areas could definitely see quite an impact from Hurricane Hillary. As you can see, by 1 p.m. Monday, by the time it reaches the Los Angeles area, it will be a subtropical storm, but definitely a lot of rainfall associated with this. We'll be heading towards Arizona and California, Baja California specifically, for some of those main hurricane impacts. But right as you reach this area, the waters get very cool, and that pretty much prevents a major hurricane from reaching Southern California. Looking at model intensity guidance for Tropical Storm Hillary, as you can see here, it looks like a very strong tropical storm on satellite imagery. I don't think there's a lot of wind to it right now, but it definitely has a bunch of convection, lots of deep convection. That's going to help it become a hurricane here tomorrow. As it becomes a Category 1 hurricane, it's going to continue to strengthen to a Category 2 hurricane, maybe even making it up to a Category 3 hurricane. Some models even making it up to a Category 4 hurricane, but a lot of these models stay just below a mid Category 3 hurricane. So that's why the major hurricane is expected. As it heads northward, it's going to start to weaken down into a Category 1 hurricane, down into a post-tropical storm. If you did enjoy the updates on the tropical weather here in the middle of August, I'll have another upload either tomorrow or Friday, but share this video with any friends or family that may be impacted or may want the latest updates on the tropics in the Atlantic or even Hurricane Hillary. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on post notifications. You won't miss a single upload live stream this hurricane season. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.